Are you suffering from that lack of a special someone? Are you suffering from a lack of that thing we called romance in your life? Well, don't know what you think I can do about it, but what I can do instead is tell you about what I like to call the happiest anime ever. Welcome back to the Smith Nerds, everybody, and today it is the 14th of February. It is Valentine's Day. Unlike last year when I did not have a special video idea planned for this day, I do this time. And that idea is, as I just said, I'm going to be telling you about what I like to call the happiest anime of all time, aka my love story, aka Ore Monogatari. So I want to start off straight away by saying that my good friend Ash will be doing an episode of her monthly Shoujo Sunday series on this very show in July. So for anybody who's watching way beyond the time the video goes up, so from July of this year onwards, that video will be linked back in the description of this one when it goes up. But now, on to it. So, my love story focuses on our main character, who is sat in the middle. If you looked at the thumbnail, he is sat in the middle on the bench. His name is Takeo Goda. The show starts with him just leaving middle school and starting high school. And the guy sat next to him on the bench is his best friend, childhood and still best friend, Makoto Tsunekawa. These two are on the train going to high school, and Tsunekawa says, "Hey Takeo, look over there. That guy's acting kind of shady." So Takeo looks over at towards where the train doors are, and he sees that there's this guy reaching down there, if you know what I mean, on a girl's skirt. So with no hesitation, Takeo walks straight over to the guy, grabs his arm and says, "You got a problem with your arm, fella?" I will never be able to do this scene justice for just how funny it actually is. That's another thing about this show that I love. This show is so funny. Honestly, it's one of the funniest anime I've ever watched. Its comedy is amazing. And the girl in question that Takeo saved is the girl sat next to him on the bench in the thumbnail, Rinko Yamato, who, not very long after, a couple episodes later, becomes Takeo's girlfriend. So it was actually love at first sight for both of them. Because in Takeo's life, every time he's ever had a crush on a girl, that exact same girl has had a crush on Tsunekawa instead. And he's been rejecting girls for years, probably for a decade. He anytime he walks into a room, any girl that is in there falls in love with him immediately. It actually gets on his nerves because it happens so frequently. And Takeo says, "Well, maybe you should stop doing things that draw their attention." And Tsunekawa says, "Trust me, I'm not doing it on purpose." So the show is basically about Takeo and Rinko navigating love and how their relationship blossoms going forward. So Takeo gets under the impression that Rinko is in love with Tsunekawa, just like every other girl he's ever liked. And he's very dense, so he's not getting it through here that, no, she actually liked him, not Tsunekawa. Eventually it gets to the point where she comes over to Tsunekawa's place. Takeo has to hide under the bed because he's already there. And Tsunekawa finally gets her to confess that she likes Takeo. and he makes her do it about 5 times. And then looks under his bed and says, "Did you get all that?" And from that moment on, Takeo and Rinko start dating. Now, these two don't go to the same school. Rinko goes to an all-girls school, while Takeo goes to a regular high school. One of the key things about the show is Rinko really likes baking, and she bakes all sorts of cakes and treats for Takeo. In fact, she was doing this pretty much as soon as they started seeing each other. Even before they started dating, she was doing this. And after they start dating, she keeps on doing it. So Takeo couldn't believe his luck that he actually has a girlfriend now. And Rinko, for me, falls into the category of anime girl that where you just... She's one of those ones that she's so precious. You just want to hold her and embrace her and keep her away from all the evil in the world. She fits into that category. And Takeo has to navigate Rinko's friends, because even though Rinko is such a nice girl, her friends aren't quite the same. And Tsunekawa warns Takeo about this, that just because of how much of a lovely person Rinko is, doesn't mean her friends are going to be the same. And basically when Rinko brings her friends to a get-together and Takeo brings some of his guy friends, all of Rinko's friends find Takeo... They think of him as a literal grizzly bear because of how freaking huge he is. But Takeo shows Rinko's friends very, very easily how the first impression he gives on them by being so big, he's a lot more than just a huge freaking guy. Because the place they're at gets set on fire, and 2 of Rinko's friends ends up still in there, so Takeo, without any hesitation, runs straight back into the place while it's on fire, finds one of Rinko's friends, picks her up, runs out, puts her down, runs straight back in, has a bunch of rubble fall on top of him, and is literally thinking, oh, well, that's that then. He literally just accepts that he's going to die there and then, until he gets a call from Tsunekawa saying, "Hey, your girlfriend's about to do something really stupid. You might want to get out of there. Oh, and I guess I'd be pretty bored without you as well." Then Takeo jumps straight out the window and lands. And Rinko's friends realise just how great Takeo is there after that. Now, I watched this show in English. I've only ever watched the show in English. I've never watched it in the original Japanese with subtitles. I've only ever watched it in English, and that's the way it's going to stay, because the English dub of this show is I actually really, really like it, and think that's why it's so funny. But something funny about Rinko's friends in the English dub, not all of them, but most of Rinko's friends, apart from probably one, basically sound like your basic white girl. If you get what I mean by that, you'll get the idea. And the show focuses on different trials and hurdles that Takeo and Rinko have to come through, where Rinko may be hiding something from Takeo and he has got no idea because of how dense he is, where Rinko basically wants to be a bit more physical with Takeo. Wait, let's calm it down. Not in the way, not in that way, more in the holding hands and just having their bodies physically touching. That's what she means. And the only other character that I think is worth mentioning because of how much she's in the show is Ai Sunakawa, Makoto's older sister. She happens to also have feelings for Takeo and has done for a long time. So she's just a little bit devastated when she finds out that Takeo actually has a girlfriend and that she can't now be his girlfriend. I find her as a really funny character as well, because of how quickly she gets irritated by things, including a guy called Oda who literally follows her from the university she was going to all the way back to their hometown to end up meeting Takeo. And also that's a funny moment because when they goes into a cafe called Macho's, which sees Takeo wearing very short shorts, like very short. And all the men seem interested in him and it's like, hey yo, Takeo's got everyone after him now. Oda ends up going over to Suna, thinking he's Takeo. Think he's talking to the girl he loves, but actually he's talking to the brother of the girl he loves. The show just has so many amazing moments. I could not recommend this show enough for anyone. It's pretty much perfection it's my all-time favorite shoujo anime. Not that I've watched a ton of shoujo anime, but for the ones that I have seen, that is by far my absolute favorite. It is fantastic. And probably and now I'll talk about a little bit closer to the end of the show, because there's all sorts of cool things that Takeo and Rinko do. But towards the end of the show, this girl called Saijo basically is part of the school festival, because the school sports day relay race, and she ends up having to stand in because one of the other girls who was meant to be running in twists her ankle. Basically, Takeo trained Saijo to start running faster, and he's just being himself around her. He's just being Takeo. But because of all the time they spend together and him helping her trying to get faster, she ends up falling for him. And he had no idea. He generally didn't pick up on a single one of her signals. So when Rinko starts getting worried about it, Takeo doesn't. Takeo keeps saying to her, he goes right up to her face and says, "I'm not very popular with girls." He keeps saying this over and over to her, but she keeps having that sort of reaction that makes him have to keep saying it. It is quite funny. And then towards the end, Rinko starts working at a bakery called Les Cerise, and she loves the cakes there, and she ended up finally getting a part-time job there. But the guy who is in charge of making all the special cakes, called Ichinose, falls for Rinko and basically tells Takeo that he's going to take Rinko from him. And Takeo almost doesn't even fight back. He just lets things play out. And Ichinose is entering a big competition involving tons of pastry chefs, and whoever makes the greatest looking and tasting cake will win the gold medal, which will make them more well known. Which for Les Cerise, that's a huge deal. And even though Ichinose tells Takeo that he's going to take Rinko from him when he wins the competition, and he's going to confess his undying love for her, he still freaking helps him. That's just the type of guy Takeo is. Ichinose forgets a bunch of his equipment back at the shop, And Takeo sprints there, finds it, and sprints all the way to the hotel that the competition is taking place in. And Ichinose does confess his love to Rinko, but Rinko only has one man in her eyes, and his name is Takeo Goda. She rejects Ichinose's confession, but says that she'd love to still keep working at Les Cerise with him. And that's another thing that's really, really funny about this show. How fast Takeo can run. Like, Takeo will hear something like someone, if Rinko's upset, he sprints his way there immediately. He doesn't even listen to the rest of the conversation. He's off. And in English, the English dub, Takeo is voiced by the same guy that plays Nagisa's dad, Akio, in Clannad. So I find that quite funny as well. In the original Japanese, he's actually voiced by the same guy that plays Lloyd in Spy Family, which sounds actually quite funny as well. But that is my video covering the anime My Love Story. I can't believe I haven't made a video about this show before now. But I felt like Valentine's Day was the perfect time to make this video. So, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Remember, Ash's Shoujo Sunday episode on this series will be in the description from July onwards when she actually posts it. And until we meet again, I'll see you in the next one.